Hello, everybody, and welcome to the EAP Counsellor podcast. It's really exciting to be here today on this lovely Friday. The weather is quite sticky and humid here today. Not sure what it's like for you out there, but I'm also talking to a very special guest today that does live in a humid part of Australia, and Cairns is particularly humid today, Karen tells me. I'd love to introduce my very special guest, Karen Bishop-Hubert, from Peace Lily Therapies, to the podcast today. I love having visitors on the podcast, and I love being able to talk to people like Karen because she is out there doing amazing work in our community, helping people, and just has extensive experience and lots of wisdom to share as well. Karen's approach is very compassionate, supportive, and she's all about bringing out the best in people. She has extensive experience across multiple industries. She has a background in case management and has worked with very long-term unemployed people, helping them to obtain sustainable work or access services to provide additional support. Karen has also managed busy employment services and recruitment offices. Got my tongue tiredness here today. With more than 30 years of management and leadership experience, she has been an EAP ambassador and mentor to new and upcoming managers, and we will talk a little bit about that in our interview today. Karen holds qualifications in counselling, human resources management, and mental health first aid, and she's also a qualified end-of-life doula for both people and pets. She has a special interest in end of life and also provides support for grief and loss, pet loss, and workplace issues. By using multiple modalities, Karen provides support which is tailor-made to the uniqueness of each client, which I think is amazing. And it's definitely a very special skill that she has, and clients benefit from that. As an accomplished leader and manager, Karen understands that a business cannot be successful without a supported team. She believes that a motivated, visionary workplace is one that focuses heavily on staff well-being and self-care. Teams who feel valued and empowered perform at their best and contribute to making a business successful. It is with absolute pleasure that I welcome you to the podcast today, Karen, and our listeners are going to love everything that you have to say. So welcome.
Thank you, Lou. It's nice to be here.
It's brilliant to be here. For those in our audience today, a little secret. We've been trying to have this interview for months and months and months. It's been a long time coming, so it's very exciting that we're here today and we're recording, and our audience is going to get, I'm sure, lots of little pieces of gold and wisdom from you today, Karen. So thank you so much for your time and for being part of the podcast. It's great. I would love it if you could tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your niched area of counselling, because it's a very cool, specialised area, a wonderful support service that you offer. So could you tell us a little bit about you and that area, please?
Thank you. It just happened. I decided that I had a lot of years in case management to start off with and working with long-term unemployed people, and found that there were a lot of counselling skills that we used within that position, and there was a lot of burnout within the industry. And so, many, many years later, fast forward, I thought, oh, well, I'll go and get some counselling qualifications and I'll get back into it because I really loved it. But at the time, I did burn out. And then, with the qualification came along the opportunity to be able to open my own business, Peace Lily Therapies. And it did start off with pet loss. We've got 2 dogs and we like to take them with us every now and again. And people would stop us quite often for, can I pat your dog? And you just start talking and they'd start telling us how they'd recently lost a pet and just the emotion that came out, and it just really showed that there was a real need for the service for pet loss. And so that's where it all started.
Wow.
And then, and so it moved just progressively into the end of life doula for pet. And so just supporting people with their pets at the end of life and being available if they needed support, if they were having their pet euthanized, things like that. And then it just naturally progressed to the human side of things. I vowed and declared when I first started, I did not want to do the human side. It was all about pets. And when I went through the pet stuff, it just made sense to progress onto the human side of things. And it did come about after the death of a close family member as well. And I wondered what we could have done to help that progression, and to also for information, because there was such a lack of information out there about the process of dying and all of that sort of thing. So it just seemed like the natural thing to do, and it just happened. And it's probably been one of the best things that I've ever done. And throughout my life, I've had a lot of grief. Started when I was very, very young with the loss of a sibling, and continued throughout my life. So grief is something that I've lived with forever. And as an adult dealing with childhood grief, it's been interesting to work through, and I just think it's so important to have that service available for people.
Absolutely agree. Thank you so much for sharing with us, just an overview of you and your story and your openness just then. Thank you. I appreciate that. And you're exactly right. It's an area that deserves a lot of attention and support and information. And I think it's an area that some people find so hard to talk about, to address. Hence, for some people, they're unable to talk about it and to know, what to do and how to move through. So we're very lucky to have people like yourself who are able to support in the space. And, with our pets too, pets for a lot of people are part of the family. And pet loss comes with significant emotion and grief and loss and everything as well. So it's beautiful what you're doing.
Thank you.
I think it's always important for people to hear, a little bit of our story and our why too. It just helps, I think, people to understand, obviously, the niched area, but I'm sure our audience would have heard your passion and purpose in regards to what you do. So thanks again for sharing. We all have pivotal moments in our life, and they can be varied. I'm curious about and wondering if you'd be able to tell us about a pivotal moment in your life, in your career, that has potentially shaped your approach to leadership and team wellbeing, because I know you are very passionate about wellbeing and about teams and leadership and everything like that. So, has there been a pivotal moment that has, I guess, led you on the pathway that you're on?
There have been many.
Of course there have.
Yeah. But throughout my career, I started at lower levels and I worked my way up to management. So did the hard yards, worked my way up. And so I understood, the lower levels as well. So there came a time when through leadership and management and all that sort of stuff, that I realized that the answers belonged with me more
Mm-hmm.
than with the team. So I can be, a perfectionist in my own work. And so I found that I was expecting that of my team. And
Mm-hmm.
so it took a while for me to figure out that it was me
Yeah.
that I needed to look internally and find out what I was doing and,
Yeah.
what my expectations were. So I went over on a journey of learning to understand myself a lot more, and learning about the others around me and how I influence them, because I found that I was influencing them when I didn't think that I actually was.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and so I had a successful career. It was
Mm-hmm.
great, and but I also made a lot of mistakes, and I learned a lot along the way.
Mm. Which we
And
do from our
we
mistakes.
do,
Yeah.
yeah. And experience taught me that anyone can be a manager, but to be truly successful, you really need to be a leader as well. There is such a
Mm.
difference between the two.
Yes.
So my recruitment career began with employment services, and working with the industry can be really rewarding, but it also comes with pitfalls. And as we touched on before,
Mm.
staff burnout is one of
Yes.
those. And at the time within the industry, there was very little support. I've been out of it for a while now, so there's probably a lot more support. But back then, we just did the best we could with
Mm.
no resources for our own self-care, and a lot of people felt that burnout, and
Yes.
so that brought on some. Okay, there's got to be better services out there for these employees, and so other experiences with critical health incidents as well, with external work colleagues, brought home the need for appropriate mental health support
Mm.
within the workplace. There just needed to be more. And I just felt that there just wasn't enough for,
Mm.
these critical incidents. They should never have happened. And if
Yeah.
these people had have been able to reach out, then they could have had that support that they needed so desperately.
Yeah. Um, a lot of what you mentioned at the start then was, around self-reflection, self-awareness. And I think that that's a trait of an amazing leader, the ability to look within, and reflect, look at yourself. Because, when we do that, and it's not easy, for people to do, at all, but when we do, what can transpire is, amazing for a team and a workplace. So I think that your ability to do that and the lessons learnt from that, yeah, have been amazing,
Thank you. It
really
can be quite
amazing.
confronting, can't it? Yeah.
It really can,
Yeah.
and which makes it hard, for people to do. But when employees see a leader reflecting and owning their mistakes, along the way, and showing awareness, well, it's leading by example, isn't it? And we can't expect our team to do that if we're not doing it. And it's very confronting, but very worthwhile, a very worthwhile skill. So yeah, well done
Definitely.
on
Thank you.
on doing that. You've worked in or across multiple industries, and I love talking to people who have, well, I love talking to people who have lived experience, but I also love talking to people who have industry experience and vast industry experience. And you have both. So very honoured to have you here. How have your diverse experiences, if we call them that, influenced your management style or your leadership style?
Uh, my management style's changed a lot over the years.
Hmm.
I know when I first started, it was, I'm the manager. We're talking about teenage years here, late
Hmm.
teens. I'm the manager. That's how I want things done. I'm a perfectionist. I expect the same from you, type thing. And
Hmm.
it did not work.
Hmm.
And it's so I was more focused on perfection, and but I was also very self-critical of myself when things didn't go right.
Hmm.
So I had to realize that I didn't have control over those things,
Hmm.
particularly if I was asking somebody else to do something. And I've just been so lucky over the years as well to have some amazing mentors. And without those mentors, I wouldn't have gotten to the places that I went to. And to have that support and guidance and the wisdom just taught me that it's okay to make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And sometimes, when you're asking somebody to do something for you, you need to ask yourself, is what they are doing enough?
Mm.
Does it need to be perfect, or can it just be enough?
Mm.
And so I found that was a big thing as well, was to look at exactly what I wanted, and even the way I was communicating with people. Was I telling them exactly what I wanted? Was I getting out the essential information that they needed to do that? So so it's taken a lot of years, but my style now is pretty relaxed, and it's with, I guess, as we were talking about with the reflection and all that sort of stuff before, having worked through that and coming to a comfortable place within myself, I can get the best out of people and, hopefully make it happen a lot more better.
Yeah. A key message that I took just from your response there again comes back to self-awareness um, and I guess self-belief, and self-confidence, all the selves are playing out here. But, when we have worked on ourselves and we're open to learning and reflecting and those sorts of things, when we get to a place where we feel more comfortable and we know who we are and things like that, then that has a ripple effect, doesn't it, on the team as well. And, having flexibility around changing your style, it benefits everybody. So well done on that.
Thank you.
And it's nice to have a relaxed style. And even though, a relaxed style doesn't mean it's not productive, things aren't being done, or anything like that. It's nice to be able to have a team, working really well, producing results, but in a very calm, supportive environment. It's really good.
Well, let's just muck in and do this. Let's just get it done.
Yeah. Your colleagues describe you as compassionate and supportive. How do you maintain these qualities in your professional interactions?
I learned over the years that it's okay to be professional and caring at the same time. Just because you're, working with somebody or underneath somebody, so to speak, in the hierarchy or above somebody, doesn't mean that you can't care about them. And there's nothing wrong. If you see somebody who's not 100%, there is absolutely nothing wrong with asking them if they're okay. It's okay to care.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be my message behind that. And just, so often you see changes happening within the workplace, and, people will say, oh, such and such is, not great or whatever. And you say, well, have you asked them if they're okay? And 9 times out of 10, the answer will be no.
Yes.
And so it's okay to ask someone if they're okay. So yeah, you can combine the two.
You absolutely can. And you're so right. 9 times out of 10, or whatever the statistics are, people are struggling. And we know, don't we, that affects their performance and mood and, everything as well. And I think when we come from a place of care, people feel valued, supported, and ultimately they will, I guess, be more productive because of that, because they know that someone's looking out for them. I love that. I love that you care, and you come from that place of caring. It's we need more people out there that come from compassion and care. You've mentioned throughout our chat today that you've done a lot of reflection and, gone within and learnt lots and participated in mentoring and all of those sorts of things, which is great. what would you tell your 21-year-old self if you were able to, knowing what you know now, which is a lot, if you were able to give your 21-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Where do you start with that?
I know, it's a tricky one,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, probably the biggest thing I think would be to trust your instincts and to listen to that gut feeling. And if you've got the heebie-jeebies and the spideys happening, then
Yeah,
trust it, listen to it.
yes. And
Yeah,
that can take it can take people a while to really trust it, can't
yeah.
it? Yeah,
Hmm.
I like that one. I think I'd be probably giving my 21-year-old self that advice too. It's
Yeah,
good. Coffee or a hot chocolate?
absolutely coffee. I'm
Yeah.
a coffee coaster, not coffee coaster, coffee person. Sorry, I was thinking coaster there for a second. I'm going to show you
Yeah.
my coaster here.
Oh,
Yeah, it says pour the coffee and nobody gets hurt. I'm not
I
sure if you
love
can see
that.
that.
Yes.
This is so me. So yeah, yeah. So gotta have my coffee every day. Yeah, but
Absolutely.
chocolate's too fattening anyway. The sugar's no good, right?
Well, I think whichever whether we're coffee or whether we're hot chocolate, we've got a reason, haven't we?
I think
As
so.
as to
Definitely.
why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
I sort of don't mind, a piece of chocolate with a coffee.
Good point. Good point. Hmm. Yeah.
What time's your first coffee?
Well, depending on what time I'm up. Sometimes
Yeah.
we're up super early, so it could be like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, or
Oh,
it could be
wow.
a little
That
bit
is
later. So
super early.
very,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Well, I think I'd need extra coffee if I was
yeah.
up at 3:30. What's an aspect of our workplaces? So coming back to our workplaces now, what's an aspect of our workplaces that you would like to see changed? If you were able to change something, or I guess, in the work that you do as well, what are you seeing, noticing, and what change do we need to really, whether it's bring in or think about?
I think the biggest thing is to consider mental health as being okay.
Mm.
Um, it's okay to have all of the physical problems and all of that sort of thing, but it's when we're talking about mental health, sometimes it can still be a little bit of a scary slash taboo subject, depending on the workplace. So I think, that some of those issues can be seen as a weakness, and yeah, a lot of employers don't want to acknowledge that.
Mm.
And just to have it normalized and made okay within the workplace would be something that I'd really like to see changed. And yeah, as we talked about before as well, is to ask that question: Are you
Mm.
okay? Instead of just going, such and such isn't performing how they usually do. They're, let's performance manage them or whatever. And it's
Yeah.
not about that. Ask the question: Are they okay? They're probably experiencing something. They're probably going through something that they don't want you to know about, or they're just not sure how to deal with it or something like that. And sometimes asking that question can open up the conversation for that person, and
Mm.
it's just so important.
It
So
is.
that's what I would like to see changed.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming. It is starting, but it's still
Yes.
got a long way to go
Go. Yeah.
to have that mental health, um, you know, normalized, so to
Mm.
speak, and making it
Yes.
okay within the workplace.
Absolutely. I agree. I'm seeing change, um, but we have a long way to go with
Yeah.
that. And I think with the change that we are seeing, that's coming with a lot of hard work as well. And I think, there are some workplaces or being out and about, um, there are some workplaces that they really fear the conversation. They don't feel like they have the skills, the knowledge. They don't know what to say, how to ask, and things like that. So I think, you're right. A lot of education needs to happen, like more education needs to happen. And we just need to keep working on the emphasis around the conversation asking, and I guess trying to help people, well, just reduce the fear around doing it, and normalizing it in conversations.
Yeah.
Did you find the mental health first aid, doing the course, did you find that helped you? And I know you have, counselling qualifications and things like that, but as a course for people, do you find, or do you think that that is quite instrumental in helping people with checking in and having the conversation?
I do. Yes, I loved it, and
Yeah.
it was just probably one of the most worthwhile training courses I've ever done. And over the years I've done a lot, and
Mm.
I wish it was around many years ago. I really do.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I would recommend it to any workplace, and the more people that can go through that course and understand that, even if you do get the answer back from somebody saying,
Mm.
no, I'm not okay,
Okay.
it'll give you some idea of what you can do,
Yes.
and just because they say they're not okay, it doesn't need to be scary. It's
No.
okay. You can help these people,
Yeah.
and just be there as a support person for them. So yeah, totally recommend it for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I loved it too. I thought it was great. And I think, for people or for anyone out there that may be worried about checking in, or,
Mhm.
worrying about, am I saying the right thing, or like, will I say the right thing or not? It definitely helps with that, amongst so many other things as well.
Yep. Mhm.
What was the last movie or TV series that you watched?
That's a hard one because sometimes I'll go to sleep in front of the TV, so I don't get to watch it
Yeah.
much. But we do love, dogs behaving very badly. That's
Yeah.
probably something that we both really enjoy. And it just, I guess it makes us feel better in a lot of ways that our dogs aren't the worst ones out there. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I get a bit out of that. I really enjoy it, and
That's good.
yeah. So a nice little light-hearted
Oh,
show, So yeah,
nice.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
I mean, your love of animals and pets, it doesn't surprise me that you'd choose as a show like that. I think I need to watch it myself, then I might feel better as well about my very gorgeous Labradoodle. And she is beautiful. But, maybe we need to go to doggy puppy school. She's not a puppy anymore, but I think maybe maybe that might be a 2025 thing. Doing a little
Never
bit
too
of,
lately.
no, good, good, good. I get very curious, just in general, talking to people, and I love finding out more about people, and what motivates them, but also what they're interested in, and everything like that. So I'm really curious to know, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot asking this. If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
Um, I'm going to say somebody who's not really a historical figure. He is,
Hmm.
I guess, in a way.
Yep.
Robin Williams was always. I would always have given my eye teeth to have dinner with Robin Williams because he was just so funny, and
Yep.
you just. We watched up growing, sorry, watched up. We grew up watching Mork and Mindy and all of those
Yes.
shows with
Yes.
him, and his movies and things like that. And he just was always just amazingly funny, and just had this air about him and aura about him whenever you saw
Mm.
him. And so that was always my dream date, was to have dinner with Robin Williams. But excuse my dog sneezing there. I'm hoping you didn't hear that. Yeah, so and now I guess, in hindsight, to understand more about him, the person that he
Mm.
was, and
Yes.
the real person behind the comedian was
Yes.
obviously someone who was struggling a lot. And
Yes.
so there would be a lot of different conversations that you could have with him at this point in time. So yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Great answer. Gosh, that takes me back to my childhood as well. Mork and Mindy, I'd forgotten all about Mork and Mindy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah.
Showing our age there, Luke.
I was about to say, I think I am. I think I am. Maybe I should have said, "Oh, who are they? Never heard of them." Now I've put my foot in it, haven't I?
Yep.
If you could instantly become an expert, not saying that, you don't have lots of special skills and knowledge and things like that, but if you could instantly become an expert in something outside of leadership and recruitment, what would it be?
I'm not an expert in anything, but if I was ever to become an expert in anything, it would be to help people live their life to the fullest. That sounds pretty good to me.
Absolutely. That sounds very good to me as well. And, I think, um, well, I'm going to just hazard a guess here that in some of your role, like, work roles um, that you do, as well as counselling and things like that, I'm guessing that you probably do already help people to live a life, or, live their fullest life, or at least, help and support them to do that. So I think you're on the way. You're already there.
Thank you.
Another curiosity question. I think it's as I said, it's great for people to get to know um, what makes us tick. And I didn't actually mention this at the start of the podcast. Apologies, everybody. So I'm going to now. Karen is one of our amazing EAP counsellors. So she has partnered with the team approach and is one of our amazing providers. And our employees of the workplaces that we work alongside are very, very lucky to have access to someone like Karen um, for her counselling skills, and in particular knowledge and skills and ability to support in the grief and loss niched area of mental health support and counselling support. I should have mentioned that. Apologies at the start. So I always like to introduce our EAP team, and I guess we'll introduce our team to our listeners, but as well to really help our listeners and employees just to learn more about us and about what we do and what motivates us and makes us tick and all those sorts of things, because I think it definitely helps build the know, like, and trust. And it helps people to see us as just normal people living this life as well. And we all have different life experiences and challenges and things like that. And yeah, it's important that people get to know us on different levels. Hence, some of the questions that I'm asking you today, Karen. There's a balance there of obviously workplace and professional questions, as well as just other random questions, which are like the purpose of those is so that people can get to know you more, which I think is really important. So, another get to know you question. If you were a superhero, what would your superpower be?
I think I would like to be able to understand and communicate in all languages. It would be so
Oh,
good to have
wow.
all of these different languages and just understand
Yes.
everything, So yeah,
Imagine
I'll go
that.
with that.
Oh, that's a full, like real superpower. I like that. Um, do you speak other languages yourself now?
No. No.
So it would be,
No.
imagine you could travel
Yeah.
anywhere in the world and understand what people are saying.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
There have been a lot, but
Mm.
I'm not sure if you call it advice, but just something that really resonates with me. It's just a little saying. I've got it hanging up on my
Oh,
wall in
lovely.
front of me.
Mhm.
And it just says, to soar like an eagle, you must first trust in yourself and believe that you can fly.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, I think that's a really cool little thing. Mm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Where you said you have it, like in your office or in your space, whereabouts is it? Where do you have it?
Straight in front of me.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's great. I'm like a post-it queen and
Yeah.
write down quotes and affirmations and different things like that. So I have lots of different post-it notes in different spots as well to whether it's keep me focused or
Yeah. Hmm.
little check-in messages. So yeah, that's a good one that you have there.
Yeah. It's on a corkboard straight behind my screen. So
Ah,
literally straight in
right
front.
there.
There we go.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Hmm.
excellent. It's been so lovely chatting to you today on the podcast, and thank you so much for your time. As I said, it's really important that our listeners learn from everyone that I chat to on the podcast, learn whether it's new things or just gain some new information, and also just learn about the people that I chat to. And as I said, what makes them tick, who they are and what they're about, what they're passionate about, and things like that. So thank you so much for giving up some time today to be on the podcast. Thank you as well for being part of the EAP team. It's a pleasure to have you as part of the team, and I'm really excited about the area of counselling, the niche area that you provide. It's a very needed area, and your ability to, I guess, to educate people in the area around grief and loss as well is really important, and to help people to have conversations and gain more skills and things like that. So we are very appreciative of having you and your knowledge. Um, and thank you again for your time today. It's been great chatting. I've loved learning more about you, and just, yeah, very privileged to have you on the team. So
Thanks,
thank you
Lee.
so much. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and that we look forward to maybe chatting again on the podcast in a few months' time, and um, maybe getting into grief and loss
Mm.
at a deeper level, if that's okay. And, just talking about how important it is to have be able to have conversations, and some challenges, I guess, that people find um, in regards to grief and loss, and maybe you could share a little bit of wisdom with us, and share a strategy or two. So I think that would be really great in 2025 for us to be able to
Sure.
do that.
Let's do
Excellent.
that. Sounds
Let's
great.
do that.
Thanks,
Thank
Lee.
you so much. Have an amazing rest of the day, Karen.
And you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for listening in today. I hope you have enjoyed our chat, and I look forward to recording our another EAP Counsellor podcast soon. Thanks, everybody. See you. Bye.